How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am Tim Wagner.
Tim.
I got robotic there.
Yeah, you did. You kind of like, I am Tim Wagner.
Oh,
and joining me today is Tim Wagner's AI voice. We have fed all the podcasts into a database, and Tim is now an AI.
Affirmative.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can find us at Real AF TV. Remember, that's Real Like Fish and Real over on YouTube. Tim is one of those anime character things. Fuck, I couldn't think of the name of it. It's a real thing. You know that?
What?
Like, there's a word for it where people go on camera as a cartoon. Because you can animate in real time now. Like, you can animate 2D in real time
Like
with
Avatar?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I know that's right, but no, there's something like
a different.
They're called something casters or something. Like it's like Anacaster or something, anime caster, Anycaster or something like that.
Cootie.
It's pretty wild. You can buy them.
Anime caster.
Yeah, I forget what exactly they're called. There's a
Dude,
word for it. I thought I was going to have it.
This world today. I was just listening to Conan O'Brien's podcast, and he talked to some guy in Minneapolis who makes fake products for a fake grocery store in Vegas. He's a designer. Like, that's his job.
Yeah.
And he
fucking weird, right?
I don't understand.
You know that more often than not, the like prop beer cans in your sitcoms are more expensive than just going and getting like a 12-pack of Busch.
Really?
Yeah, because nobody owns it. Like it's not a thing. It's a prop. So they make so they just like they have to pay a graphic designer to fucking make it, and then they have to pay somebody to make it, and then they have to bring it in, and it's all limited like edition.
Dude, so I didn't even think of that. So that's what that guy's doing, is making that weird stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's literally like this virtual grocery store is what he made it sound like. So people are going to like shop through all this random, like, I made this, I made that. Somebody says they need this. And and then this is completely random, but towards the end of the episode, they're like, oh, what do you do for your hobbies or whatever? And then he's like, when the pandemic hit, I started whittling dicks. And he's like started whittling everything wood into penises. He got like a wooden penis like pepper grinder. He had like a dick nunchucks. Like that. I want dick nunchucks so bad.
That's so fucking funny, dude.
Like to just like find somebody like really talented with them too. Just like Bruce Lee-ing it up
with dick nunchucks. That's what I do now for fun. Okay.
What do you do for fun? I basically like whittle everything into dicks.
He's like that kid he's like Jonah Hill's character from Superbad.
Right. The pepper grinders are big, veiny, triumphant bastard. Do you know what kind of foods are shaped like dicks? The best kinds.
The best kinds. You know what wooden things around your house are shaped like dicks? All of them.
Like, all of them. Everything that's wood. That's why it's called wood.
Okay, enough about dicks. We are a fishing podcast. After all, and that's what we came here for, Tim.
It is what we came here for. Sorry if your kids are in the car listening to this. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Kids need to learn about dicks. You'd laugh too if your kid came in the house swinging around dick nunchucks.
Yes, you would.
Bringing this. Get a call from the principal's office. He had nunchucks, and just like, are those really even a weapon? No, you don't understand. They were shaped like phalluses. That's awesome. Oh shit.
Oh shit. Okay. I'll get us on track here. Get us on track. Oh, okay. Yes. If you're new to the podcast and you came to a great start, thanks for joining us. We are a fishing podcast that drops, fishing and random take podcast that drops every other week on Mondays. And then we split up the topics on Wednesdays and Thursdays over on YouTube. You can find us Real AF TV, real like fishing reel. If you just do the search in the old YouTubes, we come up. You can find us and subscribe.
Yep.
Then I usually cut the dick part out of the podcast and just get into the fishing, which
just have a whole collage of them. Just cutting out all the dick parts.
Oh man, I'm getting over another sinus infection too. So
that sucks.
I know. Anyways,
Becca had something last night. I thought it was gonna be like, oh fuck, it was gonna be bad. Shannon was up all night with him. Total sidetrack, but yeah, today he's better. I don't know what the fuck happened last night.
Hey,
he's like up most of the night saying his ear hurt, and we're like, fuck, bringing the doctor in the morning. I guess give him Tylenol for now.
Right.
Wakes up in the morning, he's good, and you're like, fucking, I mean, that's good, but what the fuck?
But you're like, what the hell happened last night? Then I got you.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. Well.
Anyways,
kick it off with the fishing news here. That's usually how we do. We're gonna kick it off with the fishing news. Then we're gonna get into the fishing topic. Then we're gonna get in the random take. Today we are going to be talking about rough fish and sports icons of our childhood in the random take. But for now, fishing news: eel pout, burbot. What do you call them? Every time I hear somebody call them burbot, I'm like, bourbon. It sounds like fucking bourbon every time. I swear to God. Anyways,
bourbon. God, they're catching them bourbons. Yeah, I didn't know that they were even called burbot until like, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It was always eel pout. When I heard bourbon, I'm like, what the fuck is a burbot?
Yep. Me too. I always thought that it was eel pout. Like I always heard eel pout out. Always. And then burbot. That's brand new to me. I think you might have said it a couple podcasts ago, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Sounds like a big frog. That's what I think of when I heard it. It's just like, what is this? Like some sort of amphibian?
Yeah.
And then you see it and you're like, well, I guess I wasn't far off.
You're not totally right. Yeah. There's something amphibian about it. You're right. But I did not line this up on purpose. But rough fish, no more for the burbot. They are getting recategorized by the Minnesota DNR in the new regs for 2022.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I wonder if
they're going to be a sport fish, I guess.
Nice. They are, dude. People, first off, they fight like hell, I heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they get,
Me too.
It sounds like they fight like a catfish where they like to do like the barrel rolls and stuff. And then,
oh, nice.
They're supposed to be like awesome table fare. Like I've heard them referred to as the poor man's lobster before.
Yeah, so that's what I read too. Quick.
Yeah, I've never had one before. I know they have like eel pout fish fries in certain spots, but yeah, it makes sense that they are a sport fish because they just look weird, but they fight like hell and they taste good. So I don't think rough fish is a fair assessment.
Yeah, I didn't know about the eating of them. I had only heard that people, like, there's a eel pout festival, I think, that's just not too far north of you. And I just...
Walker, I think.
Is that where it is?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know where that is.
But to me, it didn't sound like it was like a place. It didn't sound like it was like a celebration of the eel pout necessarily. Just like, hey, there's tons of them. Pull them out of the water and fucking do whatever with them. They're rough fish. Like that's what it sounded like to me.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was in the past a lot. Where they thought they were rough fish, where they would just go like catch them and get rid of them. They always called them like a trash fish. But
yeah, we'll get into that.
I've never caught one and I've never ate one. but I've been hearing things. Like, people talk about him a lot now.
Yeah?
And,
Huh.
yeah, I was actually listening to Jason Mitchell Outdoors, and there's a guy
Mm-hmm.
during this time of year that, like, targets just those. Like,
Oh, like, you mean in the, like, prime of ice fishing pretty much, huh?
Yeah, through the
Prime
ice,
late
yeah.
ice fishing?
Yep. Well, and so he was I don't know anything about him really, but he was talking about how they, like, spawn, like, while the ice is still, like, going.
No shit.
Like, yeah, so, like, they're coming into, like, the spawning season, so,
Oh, wow.
like, it's prime time to go catch these fish, but that might change in the future. Like, they might not let you fish for them while they're spawning like the rest of them if they're a game fish now.
Right. Yeah,
So, I
no,
don't
that's a
know.
really good point. You know what? That means I'm gonna make that note right now. We're gonna have to do an episode on them now that this is all changing. And the fact that it's
Yeah.
happening, we're gonna have to wait for the new regs to come out, I think, because I wanna just like I feel like I wanna cover that now after all this because n two things. One is that's crazy to hear about their spawning because every other fish we've ever covered when we specifically talk about fish is not that. But the lobster thing, dude, that was the thing that got me too. Was like, "Oh, what? Did you say
Right.
the texture is like lobster? What?"
Yeah. Like, what? Like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I wanna target them. Like, I just never knew how to, and then I hear this guy talking about, what he does, and I'm like, "Dang," and I also thought, like, they were just kind of, like, going out to target them is cool, but I'm like, "How do I really wanna waste all day fishing for them?"
Mhm,
And he said that, like, when you go to a new lake, like, catching 1 is, pretty decent.
mhm.
Because like he said that you should consider yourself successful if you catch one, because
Oh.
other people aren't out there trying to catch them for the most part. And if you go out there and you find a fish on a
Mhm.
lake where nobody else is even trying for them, then
Right.
like good on you for finding
Then
them.
good. Yeah, yeah, cool.
But he said on his lakes that he fishes, that he calls his numbers lakes, he'll go out and he'll fish, and he's like, I'll set a limit for myself, like where I'll go home after the 30th fish. And I was like,
Jesus.
You can catch 30?"
Right.
And
What?
he's like, "Yeah, I actually go out like during the nighttime, like, it's, like, when it gets dark is when they feed." It's weird, he said, like, when it gets dark, they'll feed before they spawn, and then when they spawn, they, like, feed during the day. So it's, like, backwards, weird stuff.
Huh.
So it's like, "Huh, that was interesting." But
That
he
is
was like, "Yeah, I'll
interesting.
go out and then it gets dark, and then I'll catch
Huh.
them, like, 30 of them, and, like, when it gets dark." Like, Jesus.
Okay.
And you just say, like, "Once I get 30, I'll
Fuck,
go
dude.
home?"
Right.
I
Whoa.
had no idea.
Okay.
I thought it was like I think there's eel pout in this area. I'll just try to catch them while I'm catching other stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
I'd
he's like,
actually just watched
I go
something
catch
online
30.
with again, this is all just lining up for no reason. Uh, but it's funny how it does. The thing I just watched online, he was fishing for pike
Okay.
and he was like, "Oh, yeah, this lake has burbot in it, so we'll definitely end up pulling out some burbot because they hang around the same areas as pike. So, since you're
Sure.
already a guy who knows how to get pike, maybe I don't know, maybe you heard different on what
Well,
you
I'm still
watched
trying
and
to
listened
figure
to.
out how like ice fishing. So
And just generally speaking, you're trying to figure out ice fishing, so that's not a great
yeah.
reference. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Cause he said that like you can catch them on the open water, but he's like once the surface temperature hits like 50, then it gets tough. So I don't know what the fuck they do in the summer,
That
like
must
where they
be
go.
why it's always in the winter when you hear
Yeah.
about it. Okay, so
Sounds
that
like
makes
you're ice fishing, yeah, when they're spawning or whatever, and then I don't know what they do during I'm sure they still feed, but
right.
I would assume the way he made it sound is that they like to feed on crayfish and stuff for the
Oh,
main part, like, that's what they like to eat, so I would
okay.
assume that you got a decent chance catching them while you're trying to bass fish
Right.
with jigs and stuff, but you gotta
Sure.
be in the right spot. I don't know where
Well,
they
yeah,
are,
because
but
the
people do
bass are
catch
gonna
them in
be
the
up
summertime.
because,
Yeah.
right? The bass are gonna be up, and they're already gonna be gone. The burbot are. The eelpouts are gonna
Well,
leave.
there's bass pretty much everywhere.
Gotcha.
There's bass that stay shallow in the weeds. There's bass that go into the deep water. Well, it depends on the time of the year. You're
Right,
probably not
that's
going to
what I
find
was.
many deep, like when it's springtime and they're looking to spawn and stuff. But
Right.
when it hits summer, like some of them stay in the weeds because it stays cooler in the weeds, and some of them go deep, and like there can be bass all over the place. But
Sure.
I don't know where burbot live. I'm just learning about them now,
Right,
ice
right.
fishing. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like we got to go after them because
dude, I
I think,
want to because I
yeah,
want to eat one, and it
I
sounds
know, me too.
like you can really have a fun time fighting them. Like he was saying, like an 8-pounder like fights like hell, and I'm like, well, hell yeah, 8-pounder, that's a good fish. Like regardless
Yeah,
of what kind of fish you're catching, that's a
right, right,
decent sized fish.
right. Is that well?
So
We'll get into. I really want to do a whole follow up episode here in March. So, yeah, I just thought it was really cool. There wasn't really much information, but it was pretty much outdoor news. Just had this little post, and they were just like, yeah, just so you know, Minnesota is changing the eel pout from rough fish to sport fish. New regs come
that's
out in
crazy.
March, and I'm like, whoa, I gotta
Yeah.
report on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Gotta bring that to the
I'm
table.
really interested in to see. That's probably like the first time I'm ever going to be like, I got to get my hands on this next year's regulation book. You know,
I know,
like
I know,
it's never
because
happened
usually
before.
there's not that much that changes, or if it does, you hear about it ahead of time anyway, because you're like, oh, sweet, no walleyes and Mille Lacs this year, or like you
Right.
kind of get
Or
you
they'll
catch
just
wind of it,
change. Yeah. Or they'll just change the limit a little bit.
right?
There's never been a fish in like all the years I've been fishing where they're like, up now there's going to be a season on them and regulations, which there weren't before because rough fish were like, they're the kind where you can go out and bow fish.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you're like, what are the rules on
save it
this
for the
kind of fish?
fishing topic because that's exactly what we're gonna get into. Again, this just lined
All
up. I
right.
didn't even bring this was already in the doc weeks ago, and then I thought of this, and then same with this topic. It was in the doc weeks ago, and then it all just put one down, started writing one. Here it is. It's like, all right, kick ass. So
Nice.
before we get into the fishing topic, let's do housekeeping. This episode is brought to you by Monster Bass and Real AF TV Patreon page, but we'll talk about that later. If you go to Real AF TV, realaf.tv/contact, you can give us feedback and interact with us about the show. We appreciate that. There were some glitches, so I'm sorry if some of you were writing in earlier. I fixed it now, and we should get back to all of you. I tried to look back into the spam filter, but that thing kicks out pretty early. Anyways, it doesn't hang around the spam folder very long. So I'm sorry. realaf.tv/contact. You can interact with us about the show. We'll get back to you. Again, sorry if you got caught in the spam filter, but I have since fixed that. Podcast reviews. Remember, that helps bump up the podcast if you go over to Spotify and iTunes have reviews. It would be great if you'd share it with a friend and get a
Much
review going
appreciated.
for us. Pumps it up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Tim. My
Yes.
last note on housekeeping.
Yeah.
We were just on a roll about the sports in the last podcast, and I forgot to comment on the MLF swab of the gigantic bass that we talked about. You remember that? That guy pulled
Yes,
in
the
like that.
swab. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot to.
I
I
didn't
said,
know
"I'll
what
tell
you
you
were
about the
talking about.
swab.
I'm like,
Hold
the
on." And
swab.
we got on a roll, and I was like, "I have to stop." So it was like 45 minutes later, and I never said anything. So here's the thing: I found out what the swab was. So
Okay.
they're gathering data on certain fish over a certain weight. That now I didn't get all of the specs, but basically, like big ass bass, swab it, get its DNA, send it back to the lab, and there's a whole like essentially database that they're building to share with DNRs and other, wildlife conservation places. 'Cause we call them the DNR.
Right.
In Texas they're called this, and in Alabama they're called that. So yeah, they're just basically trying to help out giant bass populations by building a big DNA database on them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like I didn't know what it was, but like today's day and age, the first thing you think of every time somebody says swab, you're like, COVID? What the fuck? You wouldn't test a fish for COVID?
I know. I was
You
like,
know?
what
It's
disease
just
are
like,
they
I don't
testing
know.
them for? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on in this area?
Right.
That was my first thought
Yeah.
too.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So my mind went to COVID, but obviously we're not testing fish for COVID, or are they? Like that'd be
Right. Yeah. I
weird.
don't know.
They're like, turns out COVID is underwater now, and you're like, what?
Right. I know.
How
And
does
you're
that
like,
affect us?
thankfully, I'm not Aquaman, so I'm already living in it.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, I'm above water, so I guess we're good. Yeah, but that's crazy that they're just getting DNA to try to. I'd like to see the studies and like what they're
I
figuring
know.
out.
I know. I wonder what they're doing, or if they're just like so new in the process that they're not. But what a great way to do it, right? Like under it's what a great addition. They're not swabbing everybody. They're just like, "Oh, that's one of those. Get them." And then send it in
Right.
and, here we are. We're building science and it's just like, well, yeah, these pros are out here, you know, doing their best, doing their damnedest to get the biggest fish. And
Yeah.
it's all regulated, like you can track everything that's going on for good data. It's not just
Dude,
some
wouldn't that
dude
be
out there
crazy?
who's like, "Hey, I caught a 12-pounder," and he's like swabbing the butthole of a fucking pig that he just killed. You're like, "Ugh, I sent him butthole juice."
I sent him butthole juice. That'll throw him off. See, you
For
ain't
no
gonna be
reason.
coming down here and testing my bass in my pond in my bass. You ain't gonna figure it out. I'm gonna throw these some bitches for a loop. They gonna be testing this butthole juice for days. Then, like, pretty fast, they're just like, this is shit water. We're doctors. Nice try, Earl. But
Right.
dude, yeah, I wonder, like, that'd be crazy if they came back and they're just like, actually turns out all these like monster basses are
Mhm.
like some sort of a subspecies. They're like, they get bigger
Right.
not because of where they live, but they're actually technically a different type of fish, and they just look the
Right.
same as all the other ones. I wonder if they do these studies for the other animals. You get one of those 30 point books, and they're just like, swab him. Got to figure out
Swab
what
it.
makes his antlers get all pointy or whatever. I don't know.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, I wonder. So yeah, it's gonna be. I think that's information to come, but it's cool. It's cool to see.
Right.
So
Very cool. I'm excited.
yeah, me
I
too.
don't
It'll
know
be
what it
cool to see
means,
what
but
what comes out of that. So you ready, Tim? You ready to talk rough fish? I don't know. I don't know how long
just
we're
like, what
gonna.
if it's I, I'm
Oh god.
not trying to like derail us, but I was just thinking, like, what if it's like super anticlimactic? They're just like, turns out they're all fish. Study didn't show shit. They're all the same. I don't know.
Right. You're like, damn. I was really
Yeah.
hoping that these big ones just had something
We're
like, oh, they
swabbing them,
have like.
trying to figure out that there's a difference between this one and that one, and what it really comes down to is that one just hungrier, I guess. I don't know.
The best press release ever.
Right, right.
Oh, that'd be. Oh, funny. All right, man. Yeah, let's talk rough fish. Let's talk about rough fish here for a little bit, because that is
Yes.
our fishing topic after all. If you are listening to this on Wednesday, this is typically the start of the fishing topic. This is usually where I will cut it off. You missed a lot of fun shit in the beginning. I recommend that you either find us on iTunes or you find us on iHeartRadio or something like that and you listen to the full podcast. But if you're already on YouTube, it's there. You can find it pretty easily. There's a full version of this podcast. A lot of dick jokes and big fishing.
Yeah.
Tim, rough fish. I just had to go get the straight up Webster's definition of this. Here it is. Rough fish.
What? Yes.
A usually freshwater fish, such as buffalo or freshwater drum. They have that in there in
Okay.
parentheses. So I'll just leave that out this time. Okay. Webster's definition of a rough fish. a usually freshwater fish, considered undesirable as food or sport fish, and often viewed as a competitor for more desirable fishes.
That makes
And I was like,
sense. Yep, because they're eating the food. They're fucking with the food chain.
is that the competitor part? Because that's the part I was a
Yes.
little bit confused on. Okay.
Yep. They're competing for resources.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're like fucking up the habitat, and like carp is like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna make this my own, and they're just rutting through stuff, and the other fish are like, we'd really like the weeds to stick around, please. And the carp
Right, right,
and the
right.
carp are just like, whatever, bro. I eat the shit in the dirt.
Right,
And
right.
nobody
And
likes it. Yeah.
yeah, we've talked a lot about carp before in the past. I
Hmm.
think it was a full
We
episode. I
did.
forgot to look, son of a bitch. But
Yeah. No,
the
we
point
did. We did for
it
sure.
was okay. So yeah, we did a full episode on carp, and that has always been my almost like I don't want to say go to. It's my that's when someone says rough fish right away. That's always my first thought. And when you look
Yep.
them up in Minnesota, carp first one, of course. Then you got the buffalo fish and dude, bullheads.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
They're yeah, I mean, I didn't know that they were
Yeah.
considered I didn't know they were considered like rough fish, but they're basically like little trash catfish. Like because they're because they're
Right.
small, people don't really care for them. Like a big catfish, you're like, what? I can eat this. But a bullhead, you got to catch
Right.
so many of them, and they got the spines and stuff. Like they're just more trouble than
Yep.
they're worth a lot of times.
Yeah, because I know we
But
brought
then
it
when you
up
talk to
one
like certain
time.
people, they're
The
like, "Oh, my grandma used to make them all the time," and you're just like, "Well, yeah, I mean they're edible and they're tiny catfish. I'm sure they taste good,
right.
but they're just too much work."
Yeah, I know there was an episode where you mentioned bullheads, and I was like, yeah, we got to do full episode on those because they're so weird and like don't really get them. Are they catfish and stuff like that? And they must not be catfish. I don't know that for sure. You know, like little catfish. Okay, yeah, you make a really good point there, but catfish are not rough fish. Not in Minnesota. Like looked around,
Oh no,
all the
catfish
stuff.
aren't. No,
No catfish.
yeah, yeah, catfish aren't rough fish anywhere because they're sport fish because they're big enough.
Oh,
I think that's part of it. Like because people
oh,
like to fight them. So like
yeah,
the bullhead, that's why I'm saying like
right.
because they're like a little shitty version of it. They're like nobody wants to catch these shit things. But like when you make them big
Because they
enough,
don't
then they're
do
like, it's not what I was looking for. But after you fight them for like a half hour, you're like, that was pretty fun. They're like, yeah, not a rough fish. That was cool.
Right, right, right. Good point. Good point. And down south, I mean, I'm one of these people, but down south too, uh, they're eaters big time. Catfish are you go catfishing to eat for sure.
Oh yeah, you can get catfish on like any Texas Roadhouse. I think has catfish on the
Yeah.
menu.
Oh,
So there's
nice,
quite a few spots in Minnesota you can go and get catfish on the menu. I think
nice.
Famous Dave's had it on the menu too. I like catfish, man.
Sure.
Catfish is good. It's a
Yeah,
different
I'm with
fish,
you.
and you like prepare it different too. It's always like got like spiciness to it. There's always a little bit of heat to catfish. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah.
most of it that I've had, but it tastes different. It's weird. It's like
No,
it's good. You can tell it's fish, but it's not the same as the other fish. It's not like
yeah.
that flaky white meat everybody talks about. It's like a little bit darker, and
Hmm.
for whatever reason, it's good still.
Yeah,
But
that comparison, the burbot, being lobster, because lobster's so different than any other kind of fish. It's kind of meaty, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I kind of think I'm not
yeah,
comparing lobster and catfish, but like think about that catfish texture a little bit, like that kind of mushy, more muscly. It makes me
right.
wonder. Is like, okay, is burbot like a better catfish? Because holy shit.
I don't know, man. Like I haven't ate it yet, but when they say like it's the lobster, I don't even know if that's referring to flavor or texture or what, you know?
That's a good point.
I don't
Yeah,
even
I
know.
never found that out either, but It's
So
it's funny now that go ahead.
I was gonna say it's something I'm like super interested in trying, and I would assume just because of their makeup, like a fish, just like that flakiness is. I think it's a lot of how the muscle moves. You know, it kind of like their body has to go back and forth like
Oh,
that, so it's almost like plates that kind of like slide next to each other. From my,
okay.
like how the
Yeah.
fibers hold the
Yeah.
muscle together, and
Yeah.
then like crab and lobster, it's like the other way. As I'm like making a jerk off motion, it's like this way.
So many dick jokes this episode.
I wasn't trying to. I'm just like it's like crab and lobster, and
I
then I
know.
look over at the thing, and I'm like, oh, look at that! What's happening there? But um, their muscles are almost like the fibers run the long way, like up and down. Like
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
so,
Good
yeah.
point. Good point.
I think the texture's probably gonna be different. I'm hoping that it's just the flavor. They're like texture's a little bit off, but it tastes exactly like lobster. Like nice.
Oh, fuck yes. That would be the best ever. But yeah, obviously you can see on that list the burbot's not there. I don't know if it was before. I don't know, all of the necessarily list, because that's the thing too, is there's not a fucking list. Trust me. I
Right.
tried. I wanted to just come on the podcast and be like, so here's what rough fish are. Blah 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 blah, and just list it off, and then we would talk about it. There's no list.
Yeah.
There's no fucking list.
That's
I
crazy.
did
I
find
thought for sure.
a definition of it though, Tim, like a legal definition. Rev reservoir.mn.gov. It's the Minnesota legislature. Like I found the law, and
Yeah.
it literally has rough fish in quotes, because that's how it's written in the regs. Like the word rough fish is what's used. And I'll read it. Ready? So
Yeah.
I found what it means, like legally, what rough fish means. Rough fish means carp, buffalo, sucker, sheep's head, bowfin, gar, goldeneye, and bullhead, except for any fish species listed as endangered, threatened, or of a special concern in Minnesota rules. And then it says chapter whatever. So there's a list. There
Sure.
is a list there. But that's in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Turns out it's regional, as we suspected however long ago.
Huh.
Pull me through this one.
Okay. Here we go. I'm pulling.
Sorry, I had a cough. So anyways, I know that goes a little bit back on my list of what I said. I was like, hey, I'll find a list, and then, But again, we started open the show with burbot or rough fish. They're not considered rough fish anymore, which means people were considering them rough fish, but nowhere in the regs, the legislation, did it say that. So it's just a definition. Usually freshwater fish considered undesirable.
Yeah. So
right?
the one thing that I know about regulations though for rough fish is that when you have that designation on you as rough fish, that means people basically get to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yes.
Like
yes, it does.
When you're not a rough fish and you're a game fish, it's like, okay, you can only, like in Minnesota in the summertime, they're like, you can only use one line. In the winter, you can use two lines, and you got to use them with, these kind of lures, and you have to have these kind of hooks, and you can't have like this whole big contraption. And then like you look in the regulations for rough fish, and you're like, okay, so it's a rough fish. What can I do? And they're like, oh, fucking shoot them. You want to shoot them? You shoot them. Like what?
yeah. It's just pretty much gloves off.
Yeah, this is whatever. There's just like, here's a new thing that we came up with where we put a string on a bow, like the arrow in the bow, and then there's a fishing reel that we put on your bow, and then you like shoot the thing, and then you reel it in like that. Like for sure, it's dead. You're not gonna eat it. You can like put it in your garden. Is that what
Yeah.
you want to do? You just want to kill fish and then put them in your garden? You're like, yeah, I suppose. Can I do that with a pike? And they go, no. You can only catch so many of them with a lure, and you can't have too many. You can only have one bait with the hooks on there. You can't have multiple lines on one line with the different hooks. And the thing is, they're just like all these rules and regulations for that one, and then the other one's just whatever you want to do, bro. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. That's what I have down. I was just like, you always have to check your regs because again, this is regional. In fact, I checked with Texas because the old Texas Parks and Wildlife has been a very good source of information, and it was all the same things. They have bowfin also on their rough fish list, which I don't know what a bowfin is. I didn't know what a bowfin really was, but yep. I figured you'd know.
Yep. Trying to break that state record, son. Remember? That's on the list.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember.
Which I'm just learning now that it's like a rough fish where like it has the actual classification. Like, so I think I have to catch it if I want to break the state record, but maybe that's why the state record's never been broke before. Because they're like most people, when they see a big one, they just stab it in the face. Just like a guess.
So did you call it a bowfin in that episode? Because I just remember you saying dogfish.
I might have. I can't remember. I think I said bowfin. What did we put it in the doc?
I put it down as dogfish.
Did we?
I'm almost certain of that.
I have it.
Yeah, I know it's on realaf.tv. If you go right to realaf.tv, there's our fishing goals are right at the top. And break state record dogfish.
Dogfish. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might.
So I don't remember, but when I saw dogfish, I was like, "Yeah, Tim's gonna know, right? Like, he has to know this is a dogfish." But yeah, so I didn't know. I look him up, and it's like mudfish or dogfish, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So we have those two again. Oh yeah, no, me neither. I've heard of mudfish, but I don't think that's what anybody was talking about. I think they're just talking about fish that live in the mud. So, anyways. The mudfish. No, the bowfin. We have them again, not on the list. Again, just proof how regional this stuff is. And back to that's why you always check your regs. But pretty much, if it's a rough fish, like Tim already said, you can fuck it up. The bow fishing, sure, go shoot it right in the side with a bow and arrow. Don't use your crossbow though. Something about up here. I just don't like crossbows.
Oh yeah, they only let handicapped people use them. It's like some sort of they think it's an unfair advantage or whatever. So like, if you're handicapped, they let you use it, and then
it's just regular draw, pull back. Like there's no bow regulation other than that, right? Like I mean, nobody does it, but you could bow fish with a compound, with a reverse. Fuck, why am I losing it right now? I know what they're called. The recurve. Thank you, Tim. Like you could go rough fishing with that if you wanted to.
Yeah. Do you go with a spear?
Nobody does.
No.
Yeah. Spear them? Sure.
Trumpet.
Yeah.
Try it. I'm the king.
Aquaman, that motherfucker.
Just say the wrong stuff. Oh, now I want to do that. Just like run fast off the end of the dock, jump up with my trident, and scream, "I'm the king of the jungle!" And then just be like, "Did he just say the king of the jungle?"
I think he just said he's king of the jungle. Oh, jumped in with this trident.
This is random, right in the middle of here, but I can't wait anymore because I've been thinking about like when I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, "There's no good spot. Just do it." You know, it's not rough. This is George Clooney's tequila.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
George Clooney's jam, and I made myself tequila sunrise,
and
it looks good for the.
It's pretty for For anybody who's
stir it up, it's just going to be orange.
So, if you're watching the video, woo, that was pretty.
Grenadine syrup, and I want to drink it. See, I stir it up, so it's just orange now.
Yeah. But that was a very pretty mix you had going on there. Woo!
Dude, it's so easy to make. It's like one of the easiest drinks out there to make, and it looks so damn good, and it tastes pretty damn good too.
Is the tequila good, or did you just make a good drink? I know you already gave
the tequila is good. This is George Clooney's joint. Like I was looking in, what people are into, and this is the gold shit. I guess you want the clear stuff for a lot of mixes or whatever, but they were out of it at the liquor store I went to, and tequila's hard to find. But I looked, and apparently, just so you know, we're gonna let you guys in on a little secret here because I'm an aficionado now because I looked at a Google page, and apparently the trend in Hollywood is you get the clear Casamigos, which is George Clooney's, and you make yourself a soda and tequila, or however you say that when you're fucking fancy. And that's what they're having up in Hollywood. Is a Casamigos and soda. So now you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds good. Making one of these. That's fucking good. It's not less calories. Yeah, but I bet it tastes like shit. Just soda and tequila.
Soda and it sounds horrible. You just
tequila and juice, bro.
Seriously. So Tim, I wanted to a two-part thing now. Back to fishing. 2 parts. Snagging.
Yes. Yeah,
and
sorry for derailing us. I just really wanted to drink.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that was good. I know. you should be but you had to do an intro. I get it. So snagging is a thing. That's how you catch rough fish, and you totally nailed it. That's how you catch the paddlefish. Remember when we were talking about dams and we were talking about the paddlefish, and you're like, I don't fucking know, snag them? Yeah. I watched a video on the Meat Eater YouTube channel, and they totally were just fucking snagging them. Yep. In South Dakota, they have a paddlefish season.
How much fishing do they do on there?
A decent amount.
Is there a lot
pretty
of
good
fishing?
Amount?
I'll check it out, man.
Yeah, you should. It's good. It's not a ton. It's a lot though. There's like specific shows, I guess, kind of in a way, that go fishing. And this one got fed up to the top of my feed because of the paddlefish. You know how they're following. Google's always following your fucking shit you're doing. And so So first of all, had to tell you, this is why you're the fishing expert on it. Nice. And by the way, I totally fucked up and didn't call you an expert last. Like I was like, oh, Tim, you're not an expert. It's like, that's not what I meant to say. It's like you've been doing this for a really long time.
Expert,
right? You're very open to new ideas, which is why we do the podcast. But you're also very good and experienced at this thing. So the word expert is just it's a tough word right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to,
because everybody has Google, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's up to interpretation with a lot of people. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can Google it and have some knowledge and stuff, but yeah, it definitely helps to know things when you're talking and then I just have answers, that helps a lot. Where I'm just not like,
the conversational.
Google that. Right. I do. That does happen sometimes. But yes, I wouldn't say expert, but I think well versed.
Yeah.
I like the way that sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I mean, I would
more
say
information from our well versed fishing fella or whatever.
Right. But no, I get what you're saying. It's just like, I think expert is like a title that you get given almost. And I mean, I would say, yeah, he's an expert because you've been doing it long enough and you're really good and you got this shit off the top of your head. That's the difference. It's like, that's why we do the podcast. So you don't have to spend an hour Googling it. You can listen to us talk about it and sum up all the hours that you've put in real life that I've put in doing the Googling already and get it. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So anyways,
right.
Snagging. Tim.
Yes.
What would you ever go rough fishing snag style?
Hell yeah.
The paddlefish, I'm guessing.
Yes, I would.
Right away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if it's allowed in other stuff, I would definitely give it a shot, but I don't know. Some of that like gets a little bit hairy to me because I don't know what the rules are.
Right.
Like if I'm allowed to try to snag a paddlefish, I know that there's other fish in the river.
Right.
So, I mean, is
Like
that
what
just
if you
like
just snag a
collateral
pike?
damage then and it's fine? Yeah. Just, that's part where I'm just like, I don't know the rules on that. But hell yeah, I would love to snag a paddlefish.
Yeah, it'd be crazy, right? I mean, it's huge.
I mean, I know it's probably like a lot of it's probably in a dirtier river, so you don't really see them.
Right.
But I'm pretty accurate at casting. Like, so I think it'd be fun if you could see them. Like if you just see a shadow. Picture it like the old, what is it, like the big old bass and those, where you can just kind of like see that like black shadow under the water, and you're like, there it is. You're just like,
yeah, those video games where you would just see this. You'd look at the shadows on top of the water, and then you just cast past them.
Yeah,
right.
Not to mention, I think I told the story right. Yeah, and I think I told the story on the carp episode, and where I snagged that carp in the back. I snagged one.
Yeah,
I had a deep driving crankbait, and I accidentally snagged that thing in the back, and it fought like hell.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it was like wearing a backpack where it was able to face. I couldn't turn him around. He could just keep swimming. So it's like that carp was nothing compared to how big a paddlefish gets. A fattlefish. Those fattlefish are getting big, you know, and snag them and they just run with it, man. I can't even imagine. Just like, what kind of tests you guys using? Oh, we got 100 pounds and it breaks the line sometimes. What?
Fuck. Right.
Just like, you don't have to worry about the line. The rod's what breaks half of the time.
Like, yeah, no shit.
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
Oh, it sounds like it would be a blast. But if you snag him in the wrong spot, then it'd probably be easy. Sometimes you snag a fish in the side and then they just kind of like feel like dead weight. You feel it move every once in a while.
You're just dragging it the least hydrodynamic way through the water. You're just dragging a log.
Yeah. Dude, I don't think I ever told this story on here.
Oh.
But my very first muskie, I had no idea. Like it felt like there was a fish.
Okay.
But I pulled him through like fucking 100 pounds of weeds.
What?
Like I couldn't move it. And then I'm looking at the rod tip, like watching it go like doing, 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 doing. And I'm like, there's something on here. But it's just like dead weight, like so much. I'm like an ocean fish where I'm like reeling it up and then like reeling it down and then just like
no way, dude.
Yeah, and then we get it up to the boat and then like the fish like finally realizes what's going on and it runs and it like takes off from the weeds and then I actually got to fight it a little bit. But before then, it was like a 42-inch muskie like in weeds and I'm just like, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, this is the biggest fish anybody's ever seen. And then it turned out it was a 42-inch muskie with like 100 pounds of weeds.
Yeah, shit, dude. I don't even think I've heard that one before. That's crazy. I can't believe that.
Yeah, and that was one of those, you know, when everybody's, you know, when you're out with people and they're just like, one more cast, and it turns into like 5 more casts and everybody's giving you shit.
Yeah.
My dad's literally like pulling through where there's like the buoys.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the safe spot where you can go through. It's not shallow here in the middle. And he's like pulling through. I take one more cast, and then I fucking lay into this fish, and he's like,
No
"What? We
way,
got to
dude.
go through." And I'm like, "You can't.
You
I have
can't.
something huge. I have something absolutely massive on."
Gets to the boat, and he's like, "Yeah, you got a ton of weeds on there, you dummy."
No, he knew too, because he was looking
Yeah.
at the rod tip just like I was. He's like, "There's
Oh,
something
okay.
on there. Like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
we'll land whatever this is. Let's get it." And I was fishing for them. It was a
Sure.
big rod, big lure, and
Yeah.
something bit it. So we knew, and with all the weight, I think
Right.
everybody at the same time, like none of us have caught that muskie. So we're all just like, "What
What
is
is
this?
this?
Is this what it's like? Is this what they're like?"
Right. But you didn't snag it. I mean, that was all legit, but like the reference to what
Yes.
it
Yeah.
felt like,
What?
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The reference to just be like, just fighting all that weight and just be like, "This is insane." And you're just taking forever and just, it sounds
Yeah.
like a blast.
Yeah, and
I would
actually,
love to.
like, it's sort of related, and I don't know enough about this particular fish, but the gator gar, it's a rough fish.
Yes.
They live in the Mississippi. They're up here somewhere. I don't know, but they're on the fucking list of. They're just called gar, but I think we know them as gator gar. I know them as gator gar because they look like a fucking gator, like that nose.
Well, there's different kinds. There are different kinds. We have
Oh
smaller
shit! Okay.
versions up
We
here,
do.
and they're gar. Yeah, down south, the gator gar are those big, massive, like 10-foot long, 500-pound fucking behemoths.
Alligator looking
And then,
fucking fish.
yep. And then we get ones up here that are like 5 pounds, Like that's another one. Like if you're ever wondering what they look like, you want to see them in real life, they have them at the state fair. They don't get
Oh,
that
okay.
big.
So it's not
But
a gator gar
they
then, you
look
don't think?
prehistoric,
Or
just like, no, it looks like a little version of it.
oh, okay.
But it doesn't look like an alligator. It's not creepy looking like those other ones. Mainly because it's not as
Okay.
big. But I don't think it
Oh,
has
okay.
teeth like the gator gar do either. Gator gar are fucking gnarly.
Yeah, yeah. I've
They're
seen
dude.
them
If
at
I
the
was ever
old
swimming, I
Sea
would
Life
freak
down there at
out.
the Mall of America. That's where I seen a gator gar. So again, maybe not the right thing, just gar. Maybe I said, okay, gator gar, because that's another thing is gar are rough up here. And then I looked up and they're like, no, not in Louisiana. Fuck no. Love them. I'm like, see, there you go. Totally how we thought this was regional. And it is, even here in the
Yeah.
United States, because like, think about this. And I think this is what made us go like, it's regional, right? And that's what made this a topic, or like made me want to do this as a topic is it's regional, right? Because carp are like big in Asia. And you're like, yeah, they're big in Europe too.
Yes.
And then same
Uh-huh.
thing. Gar. I started looking it up. Gar not rough fish in Louisiana. They totally dig them down there. And you're like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they're, I suppose, because they're dealing with the sport fish version where they're
ah.
big. And they might even have different rules down there, in Louisiana, where they're just like, it's a game fish. You can still shoot it. It's fine. You know?
That really, really good point. Yeah, because like they fish for gators in the South, and they usually hook them and then shoot them in the head. Right? We've all seen that Swamp People show or whatever it's called.
Right? They're just like, got a big one on. He's gonna ruin the whole boat. Yeah,
Shoot
they
that
got those
motherfucker.
billy clubs too with it. Yeah, they got the billy clubs too with it. Just smack them.
Oh yeah,
Get them
that's
up.
right.
Or the gaff. I think you can gaff sport fish too, but that's like,
What's that?
you're gonna keep them, so you kill them. A gaff. It's like a long stick with a hook on the end, big old hook.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like when you tuna fish or when you big ocean sport
exactly.
fish. Got it.
Yep.
It sounded familiar. I just wasn't putting the two together. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, and I think they got a lot of different rules down there. Like up here, you cannot use game fish to catch game fish. And
Mhm.
once you
Mhm.
get more south, they start allowing you to do that. You can use bluegill as bait to fish for like bass down south.
Oh, shit.
You can't do
Okay.
that in Minnesota. That's illegal.
Right,
So you
right,
can't
right.
use
Again,
game fish to fish for other game fish.
yeah, that's why this is such an interesting topic to me, and it's just like this alone has, like, multiple episodes or something like that in it. I'm not sure how exactly to say
Right,
that,
right.
but, yeah, it's just like, "Okay, we got a guy on from Louisiana. What do you do when you rough fish?" You know, here's someone from Montana, which, by the way, I tried to look up other states, like Montana, Alaska. I couldn't find anything. It was very weird.
Right.
I don't know why, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
that
find
I
anything.
don't know, man. I don't know. I've never looked into it myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff is hard to find, dude.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Well,
you got
I
to
think it
know the
comes
right
down to,
questions to
like,
ask. That's
there's
what I'm learning with ice fishing too, where I
right.
was trying to learn about ice fishing all this time, having a hard time finding information. And then I like get like little inklings, little tidbits here and there, and then I like, "Oh, I should ask that." And then I ask specific questions to Google, and they're like, "Here's the information." Like, "Fuck. Why did you tell me this when I asked about ice fishing before, Google?" They're like, "You didn't ask this question before." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. And yeah, and that's
So,
exactly it. That's what this is
I
like.
think we're having some
You
connection issues.
have a hard time. Yeah, we are having a few connection issues. We'll get through this here though, because we'll wrap it up soon. So God, I hopefully this is all working. From what I can see, it looks like it's working. Anyways, so I'll just keep going. But yes, Tim, that's exactly it. Is like there's so much regional information on this, and there's so much, I guess, lack of regulation, like we talked about, you know. So
Mhm.
yeah, you could go
Yep.
just regular old angling for carp, but you could also go shoot it in the side with a bow and then reel it in with that sweet adapter that you
Right.
put on on your compound, you know. And
Yep.
since there's like no regs, essentially it's hard to find information on the internet because it's not documented, and nobody's writing about it because they're trash fish, like you already alluded to. So nobody gives a fuck. They're like, I don't know.
Right.
Don't care. Why would I put that on the internet? No one gives a shit.
Right.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think it's very weird and interesting.
I think it is too, man. I just very focused on catching game fish at the moment. But rough fish sounds like a
Yeah.
blast. Like if you get some free
Yeah.
time. Like if I was a guide all the time, for sure,
hmm
I'd be
Oh,
like,
really?
when I get a weekend, I'm like, I'm gonna go shoot fucking fishing with a bow. You know, doing the same shit. Like, or because you probably
Sure.
see them while you're out there. Like I've been
I never
passing
thought
by
of that.
this spot all the time. I keep seeing these carp. I'm gonna go shoot some of these motherfuckers.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I never even thought about that. That's a really good ass point. I never thought about that. But why not? Of course, if that's what your day job is, right? And then on the side, you're like, yeah, I don't know. So then on the weekends, I go hunt rough fish.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
Everybody's
Yeah.
like, "You want
What
to
a
go
thought.
fish for walleye?" Like I've been fishing for walleye all week. You know, let's go do something different.
Oh, right. That's funny. Oh, shit. All right, man. Well, let's see if we can wrap up this fishing topic. Pause the feed for a second. See if that'll get our connections back in line. And then we will take this into the second half where I have the weirdest topic, but we'll get into it. Sports inspirations from our childhoods, like sports icons of our
Sports, sports,
childhoods.
sports,
The,
sports.
it totally comes, yeah, off of, we're spinning off of the last one because all this Olympic stuff is still winding down, and just
Yep. Yep.
made me think of that. So I thought I'd bring that to the table. Wanted to have that talk with you. So we are going to get into the break right now. And then we're going to get into the second half, the random take, as we call it here on the Real AF TV podcast, where we talk about sports inspiration from our childhood. Hit the break.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is the Real AF TV podcast. I'm Josh LaBaw. I got Tim Wagner on the other side. And we're going to talk about Monster Bass. Monster Bass. Tim?
Yeah.
We're a little bit affiliated with the old Monster Bass there. Why don't you tell the people what it is?
Monster Bass is a subscription that gets you dope baits every month. And you can choose the different kind of sizes of the box that is in the box. It's a bag, but it's called a box. But the bags are even better than the box because you get to keep the bags and it has a label on there and you can write on it and keep it organized. And it's a bunch of great stuff. And they set you up with all sorts of lures and crankbaits and, jerk baits and whatever. And if you get a soft plastic, the ones that I've got come with the hooks and the weights and the bobber stops, which they're bobber stops, but they're the weight pegs. It's bobber stop. I said it wrong.
They give you everything that you need, right? Like
everything that you
in the one set. Nice.
Everything you need in one set. And it comes with stickers from the different companies. You get a golden ticket that gives you a code to put in for a drawing to win more baits and other discounts. Last box I got was like a $10 gift card to go buy more stuff from their website, like just $10 off or whatever I want. It's dope.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, bunch of awesome stuff, and it comes every month in the mailbox. You set it up and then you just forget about it, and you're just like, sometimes you forget about it. I don't forget about it. Plus you get the email alerts like your package is coming, but I'll see it that day. It's just like your package is shipped, and I'm like, oh, when I get home I get new lures. So dude, I love it.
Yes.
So awesome.
And isn't it true that no matter where you are in the United States, you get to pick in a way because they don't fish for the same stuff we do, or they don't fish the same way we do down south where the fish get bigger.
Right. So you don't pick it, but it is set up regionally. Like us in Minnesota, they're not giving us the big giant stuff that they might be using down in Florida where they have, a chance at over 10 pounds consistently. So they do give you baits based off of where you live. They're not giving us the monster giant stuff up here. And then down south, we're supposed to just get whatever because you can use finesse stuff too on big monsters.
Sure. So if you go over to realaf.tv/monsterbass, that will take you over to the Monster Bass site, and that will let them know that we sent you. Help out the podcast. Go to realaf.tv/monsterbass. It'll help us out. It'll get you some cool stuff in the mail every month, like Tim said. And doesn't that just benefit you in the end? I mean, come on.
It does. Christmas every month, man. Awesome. Or whatever thing you celebrate. It's awesome stuff in the mail every month. How about that?
Right. Well put, Tim. Well put. And don't forget that we have a Patreon page. That's patreon.com/realaftv. Real like fish and reel. It will take you over to our Patreon page, and you can check out all of the different sets of subscriptions we have. We even have the $1 level. Not that we really see any of that money because of the way taxes and, fees work. But here's the thing. We just want you to join the Real AF TV community. So if you go to realaf.tv/Patreon, it'll shoot you over to our Patreon page. You can see all the cool tiers. We got from $1 up to $100 and a good range there in between. One of our favorite ones we like to talk about is the $50 tier, where we get a chance to make a custom lure for you. It will send in the mail. Don't forget.
Yes. Nope.
There's even the ability to become part of the... No, you're good. You can also become part of the show because we have a tier where you can vote on the random take topic. So that's patreon.com/realaftv, real like fish and reel, and join the Real AF TV community and help us out directly. And speaking of that random take, Tim, let's get into it. Welcome back to the Real AF TV podcast, a show about fishing random takes to land to 1,000 lakes. This is the random take. Tim, what do you think about sports icons, sports inspirations, from childhood? Do you have any?
I do. I'm more curious to see what yours are, but I do.
Yeah,
mine's like all basketball. Like I liked football.
I kind of want.
Like I liked football, and Randy Moss was dope. Like he was one where I felt like I could do what he could do. You know, like obviously he's Randy Moss, and I can't, but. But I was like, you know, I can run down the field and they throw the ball and I'll just like jump up and like grab it over you. Like I'll snatch it out of there. I can do that.
Right.
Like, you know, like I'm not necessarily faster than you. I'm just going to go up and get it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like,
yeah. Because that was kind of his thing, right? Yeah. He's just, whatever, man, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get that ball. And it's going to be getting you out of the way or me just not finding you an obstacle anymore. And however that's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Right. Yep. Not going to stop me. But yeah, dude, my stuff when I was growing up, one, I didn't like watch him live. So it came into play a little bit like later when I learned like, he was one of my dad's favorite players was Larry Bird. And I got to see him live. When I was a kid.
What?
I don't remember it. I was like 4 or 5 years old or something, but I saw him play the Wolves. And
no way.
Yeah. So I don't remember it, but I know I got to see him. So that's so cool to be like, I did see him live. I don't remember it. I was too little, but I did see him.
Right. But I was there.
Yeah. But Larry Bird.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because he was just like a shooter. And I just kind of like the trash talking. Where I did a little bit of that when I played basketball, not a lot, but I couldn't do it to the level of Larry Bird because I was decent, but I was never confident in my game like he was, and he'd just be like, "You're gonna miss this shot. I'm gonna get the rebound. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna pull up for a 3, and there's nothing you can do about it." And then
he was like, really like that.
Yeah, sometimes like he'd do exactly what he said he was gonna do. He'd just go down and he'd do it.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's such a GS thing to do.
Right. I mean, like to get in somebody's head like that. Listen, I'm gonna take the ball down the court. I'm gonna pull up for a 3 right when we get down there. You know what's coming. Like you can't stop it.
Oh my god. Yeah. Seriously, I had no idea that he was like that. What a fucking G.
But
that's sick.
My main 2, because of like I got into like the handles of basketball and the passing and stuff. I got enamored with that. Like I might not be the fastest and I can't jump for shit. Which now I'm learning, you know, where like you can work on that. You can jump higher if you really work on it. But for whatever reason, I never grasped that when I was a kid. You know, like it's just like the movie, like white man can't jump. I'm like, well, I'm white. It's never gonna happen. Like, just accepted the fact.
You just took it literally, ended there.
Just like, well, I guess. And now, like, I see like YouTube videos of like skinny white dudes like doing like ridiculous dunks, and you're like, whoa. I mean, I was never skinny like that, so I don't think I ever would have had bounce like that. But like, if I would have worked at it, like, white guys can jump. Like some of them can. Like, okay, all right.
Damn, it's that Woody Harrelson movie, or whatever the fuck it was.
I'm past my prime. There's no way. Like,
right. Yeah, there's no coming back now.
Yeah, you hear him talk about sports, and people are just like 30. He's still out there doing it at 36, and you're like, that's old. Shit, I'm old.
Right. I know. Yeah, and it's so funny because like I want to talk about the age thing, but before I do that, it's just like I've been doing this. It's the Olympic thing, right? Like we talked about on the last podcast, and so we still have, and they did all these documentaries and blah blah blah, and I was like, man, it is weird how we look up to sports figures. Like, to me, I just find it weird because in the end, almost nobody ends up doing that. But they're so iconic. And then, one of them gets a DWI and they're like, "Oh, you can't be doing that.
Right.
You can't be doing that. You're with the kids." And I'm like, that's a 27-year-old kid with millions of dollars.
Right.
And he has 3 months to kill because his job literally gives him 3 months off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a D-dub. Big fucking deal.
Right.
But then you look back, and that's what started making me think about this, is because now we have kids, right? And it's like, are they going to look up? Because we were watching the Peekaboo Street documentary. You remember Peekaboo Street?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And I was watching that, and I'm like,
coolest names of all time.
Yeah, it's such a wild name. Like, you can't forget it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I just started wondering, I was like, oh yeah, I wonder, my daughter really did like watching the Olympics. I wonder if she would like see that and just be like, girl, I could do that. I don't remember having that when I was a kid, but we're also white guys. Right. Most people on TV were white guys in the 90s. So
right.
Not in sports necessarily, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's like the only spot they weren't. It's like we're everything else. It's like every commercial, every sitcom, everything else. And then like you turn on sports and you're like, huh. Well, I guess that's out. That's what I always felt like. I think it's really that movie, just that stipulation, like the movie's called White Man Can't Jump. And I'm just like, yep, can't jump. Like, I get it. Like, so if you're,
sure. And I guess I never.
Well, and then you look at the NBA and you either have like small guys that could shoot and pass and handle really well, or like 7-footers. I don't remember seeing white dudes dunk when I watched the NBA. And I was just like, yeah, I guess we're just out. So that's where I kind of like started getting the infatuation with like handles and stuff, because I'm 6'2", and I'm not short, but I am in the NBA.
No.
Like 6'2" is short as hell in the NBA.
Good point.
So
which is so fucking weird, because I call you a tall guy, you're tall.
If you guys ever watch the NBA and you know some of the different players, Chris Paul right now is in the NBA. And when you watch him, he's one of the shortest guys out there. He does not look very tall at all. He is an inch taller than I am.
Jesus. Oh my God.
It's ridiculous.
And he looks short out on the field. He looks little. Or out on the court.
Yeah, you're like, of course he's quick. He's small. And it's like, well, nope, he's pretty big. Like, if you saw him in real life, you'd be like, damn, it's just that, here's the difference. If you see Chris Paul in real life, you're like, damn, but you see the other players in real life, you're like, damn,
Yeah. And you have to see the video version of the podcast to get that one. But yes, you're dead on, Tim. You're exactly dead on there.
It's crazy. They're huge.
It's so nuts.
But
so
like
go ahead. You go first.
I was just going to say, like, so my two, I think I got a little bit derailed there. I said something else and I might have, whatever. But just to say, my two were Allen Iverson. Because
handles.
Like, yeah. And like just dope shots and stuff, like crazy stuff where there's 7-footers and he's like shooting around them or like over them. And you're like, okay, so that's what I need to do. I don't have to jump if I can move the ball so you can't hit it. I can be like going around you and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, that's what I need to do.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's like, no, I should have just played my game, because I'm not playing in the NBA against 7-footers. I'm playing against normal people. I am still the big guy on the court,
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Everybody that lives around you who you would play is still smaller than you are.
Right. Yep. And then, damn it, now I'm brain farting. Now the other one was a white dude.
Okay.
White chocolate.
The age thing.
What was his name?
You look him up, and I'm gonna talk about the age thing because I wanted to talk about that because, of course, like Brett Favre, you know, one of the greatest of all time. You got Brady finally retiring, in their 40s, but everyone's like, "Damn, Grandpa, get out of the game."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh shit, that's old." Now that we're that age, it's like, "Oh
right.
fuck."
You're like, oh
fuck yeah, it is. It's hard. I get out of bed and I'm like, fuck, motherfucker. And what I do yesterday, I sat in a chair for 8 hours and typed.
right. That's why I'm like,
it's like, how the hell did these machines do that?
That's why I'm like, good thing I still got dreams of being a professional fisherman. Because that one, I can.
Right.
I'm not old. I'm still young in that sport,
Right. Yeah. There's still time. There's still time in that one. I remember, and this goes to another one who I don't know if it was inspiration to you. We were kind of in that age. Like, he's not that much older than us. KG. He's old enough, though.
Yep.
Where I remember him coming in at 18 and going like, "Oh, damn, look at that kid."
Yeah.
And now you go like, yeah, I mean, he was only like 2-3 years younger than the average age.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it was shortly after him where they like outlawed straight from high school stuff. So
That's right.
Yeah, he was one of the last ones. It was like him and Kobe, and I can't remember.
There was
if
one more kid
LeBron
who
came
just made
straight
the
from.
cut.
I can't remember. I think LeBron had to go to college. He might have came straight out of high school. I don't remember him ever going to college. I don't think he did go to college. So maybe like LeBron.
He might have been the last one to make the cut, and then they were like,
LeBron was quite a bit later than KG and them, though. So maybe I'm off on my dates completely.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think he's still playing.
Maybe there just wasn't anybody noteworthy after that. Like that was the last big class. It was like that string of players. And then they were like straight out of high school players that nobody gave a shit about until LeBron.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's what happened.
Right.
But Jason Williams.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's the guy's name. Jason Williams.
Oh.
White dude,
I don't even know who that
Kings, 6'1". He had crazy passing ability. One of his crazy passes was,
oh yeah,
it looked like he was going behind the back with one of his arms, so it looked like it was going to be a. So just if you're listening, it looked like he was about to pass the ball. He could do it either way, I think. But like, say you have the ball in your left hand, and now you're gonna like throw it from your left hand behind your back. So it looks like it's going to go to your right over to that player. And when it gets behind his back, he uses the opposite arm and bounces it off his elbow to his left.
What?
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to pass it to the right. And then all of a sudden just like, boom. And because it bounces off his elbow, it went super fast. And
right.
Like, he did it a couple times in game on like a fast break. He's got one guy on each side of him. And they would like, the defender would go towards the way where he looked like he was tossing it behind his back, and then it'd leave the other dude like wide open for the dunk.
No way, dude.
Yeah,
that is a sick move.
He had a lot of crazy passes and stuff. So those guys were huge, and KG was too. Obviously, Minnesota, and I was bigger, so I was using all the post moves that he was using. Those like the turnaround jumper that he had. I was using that all the time.
Yeah.
Doing that like off balance, like as you're spinning. That's not something that you should try to teach a kid to do. But I got pretty good at
it. Why not teach it?
Just because the fundamentals, like when you like try to square up and stuff, you can do a turnaround jumper, but a lot of times his was just kind of like as you're jumping backwards. If you want to work on it, you can get good at it. It's just not something, where you should be like turn around and then jump backwards as you shoot. Like it makes it almost impossible to defend, especially KG when you're 7 foot. But he didn't want to be known as a 7-footer. Did you know that? 7-footers
What?
were not known to be able to like handle the ball and pass it and stuff, so he didn't want to be known as a 7-footer. I think he was like 7, maybe 7'1" even, but he had them list him as 6'11".
Really?
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not a 7-footer. I dribble the ball, I take the ball up the court.
What?
Yeah.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so he was always one too,
a bigger dude.
Where like, you know, because growing up, I was always that bigger dude on the court. So when I saw him just being like, yeah, I'm a big guy, but I can do this stuff. And I'm like, that to me, I was like, same. Yeah, I'm a big guy, but I can do this stuff. But then you look into the stats, and you're like, oh, I'm short in the NBA. I should be able to do all this stuff. Like, those...
I should be able to do this stuff. Well, that's one thing about you, though, that ever since I've ever known you is just like you've always been the big guy that can move like so fucking agile. You're just everyone's just like, yeah, of course, Kim. Just because Tim's 6 inches taller than you, like. Everybody around you is short. I don't know how it happened, but like,
right? I don't know either. My wife, hoping my son's tall. My mom, my dad, my sister, my friends. I don't know. Most people aren't my height, and I'm not even that tall.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, but you get over 6 foot in this region, I guess, and everyone's like, that dude's tall.
But I think a lot of that stuff came from like the agility was from basketball. So that's a good thing to like put your kids in, because it's the hand-eye coordination, and with the ball, everything's got to move fluidly when you're dribbling. It's got to go from your hand down to the floor, back up, and it's like it's almost like a rhythm. Like there's almost like a music to it too. You know, like the ball and the dribbling.
Yeah.
And, like,
dude.
I'm
never
very,
even
like,
thought about that rhythm for sure.
Very like music oriented too. So you're hearing that like bum 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 bum. You know,
right?
Put your kids in basketball.
That you, yeah, because like
or
you
hockey,
just said, like you're using all your senses.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff would help a lot. Hockey's probably the same thing. That stick in the ice, and that's a lot of flow. You're kind of like gliding and stuff. So I think that would have a very similar feel to it. You know, like a lot of that stuff, man. Soccer.
Yep.
You know, I think
soccer less. You got to think less audible, like you were just saying, because like with basketball, you're using your sight, obviously, getting down the court. You're using all your physical, you know, like presence to navigate around and handle the ball. But part of handling that ball is also using your ears, so that way you don't have to look at it and feeling that rhythm. And I think the same thing with hockey, right? Because you got your skates, you can hear your skates, you got that stick bouncing off the ice. You can hear the puck like has a different glide sound to it than, you know, it's just like, I don't know that grass is really giving you that in soccer.
Right. That's soccer. Yeah. I don't
Not
know.
That
I'm guessing it's not quite the same. That audible is not quite there. It's just a lot of like,
right.
I just picture like the noise of like a, you know, like a windsuit. You just hear a lot of
yeah. I suppose vinyl rolling across grass probably makes that sound roughly.
Yeah. Well, and the people are just moving, so they're just like kicking and moving their feet and their legs back and forth, and then the ball rolling. So you just hear kind of a light thump of the soccer ball.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. ASMR good point.
Shit. People really? Are just like, what's that?
I'm gonna start miking up like the shins of soccer players, just so you can hear that.
We're just putting out YouTube videos, the like weirdest AMR shit out there. Just like, I like to call this one soccer game. This one,
that's all it is.
Basketball game. Doom, 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 doom. It's just the dumbest shit.
Oh, we should do that. There's definitely a market out there for it.
It gets popular just
you want to hear
people are showing their friends. Just look at this stupid shit.
Right. Right.
We gotta
Which
be
is,
super
I feel
serious
like
about it.
90% of
Can't
how the
smile.
internet gets famous.
Right. Can't smile at all. Gotta keep just act like in the zone. Just 100% focus. It's real. Just doing the weird stuff that they do with the ASMR, focused. Like putting their hands on the microphone. This one I call a basketball game. I can't do it. I'd be sitting there all day trying to record it and just fucking break every time.
You just have a piece of gym floor and a sneaker, and you're just holding it up in front of the mic.
Dead face. And like a basketball just bouncing off serious. The wall. Doom, doom. Doom, 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 doom. just have like a net and you just kind of like swat it. It's like whoosh. Ah.
This is the best channel ever.
I picture just everything super, super quiet. And you're just like making all these noises, and then all of a sudden you get like the timeout thing. So you're just like doom, doom, doom. Squeak, squeak, whoosh.
Just fuck them up.
Just hit him with the fucking horn.
Hit him with the fucking horn. Anybody who's watching sports knows that fucking horn too. So it's just I'm fucking crying. I'm crying because it's so fucking stupid and funny. Oh. So okay, back on the sports icon thing, because they just started putting 30 for 30s on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah.
And I watched the Deion Sanders one. 2 sports, him and Bo. Dude, I remember him and Bo doing 2 sports, and I was just like, oh my God, these guys are the fucking coolest guys ever of all time.
Yeah, 2 sport athletes are the bee's knees.
Yeah.
I want to say...
And it's never happened since.
Was Bo like a 3 sport athlete too or something? I thought Bo was the undisputed champ.
Well, never professionally.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he didn't get signed to the NBA or anything like that. I think... Yeah, I don't know. I watched a documentary on him not too long ago too. Maybe it was his 30 for 30. I don't know. But I just wanted to bring them up because I was just like, I never had any of the stuff, like the posters or jerseys or anything like that. But I was always super infatuated with those two. Just going, man, they're pro in both like American iconic sports.
Yeah.
They are literally
that's what made
playing
them the best.
Professionally for.
Right.
It's crazy.
So this says he's the only professional athlete in history to be named an all-star in both.
Oh,
he was an all-star in both. That's big time.
Nice. Yeah. That is big time.
I think he was like a 3-sport athlete in like college, like collegiate or something like that too, where it's crazy. Like,
yeah, I think so too.
Dude's just a super athlete.
That sounds familiar. Seriously, built for super athlete-ness.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Like you see that guy in his Raiders gear and you're just like,
yeah. Yeah, nuts.
That was a visual gag for everybody out there.
I didn't see it. You're sorry. I didn't catch it.
Oh yeah, sorry everybody. We hope the podcast turns out to the level of quality that you've come to expect over the last bit here, but we are having some gnarly internet issues. During the break we were testing our shit and both of us are getting dick for connection right now, so we're just rolling with it, man.
We got to record. Weather here. We do live in Minnesota, so we're thinking maybe that's something. We have different internet providers and we both have shit, so we're like, we don't know what the fuck's going on. Russia is doing stuff, I suppose. Maybe we thought.
So we thought as a theory. Who the fuck knows?
Blame it on Russia. Oh, blame Canada.
Right. Or Canada. Yeah, good point.
What the hell were we just talking about?
So we were talking about the two sport athletes, Dion and Bo, and shit like that. And like,
Michael Jordan
I
almost
never
was.
had their shit. What?
Michael Jordan almost was. It sounded like he
baseball?
had a chance to. Yeah, he sounded like he had a chance to play baseball, but then he went back to the Bulls. Did you ever watch that documentary on them, The Last Dance?
I haven't made it through all the way. No, I got through. I got
That,
I'm only 2 episodes in, and then I lost track of Netflix for a minute.
Okay, that one sounded like he was like trying to go in to be like a professional baseball player, and then like I forget what happened, but then he got a chance where he thought he could go back and play basketball or something, and then he went back to basketball. Like he left basketball, then he went to play baseball.
Yep.
And then before he actually got signed on to the actual Yankees, he played for their like major league or the minor league team or whatever.
Sox. Yeah.
Was that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, White Sox. Yeah, yeah. So I remember that quite a bit because I was, so sports icons, obviously Jordan. I mean, you're crazy if you were a kid and didn't think Jordan was the shit. But how it got to me is because I always been a baseball player. Like I was brought up a baseball player, loved playing baseball, was actually pretty decent at baseball. And that's why it was so crazy for me to see Bo and Dion doing their thing. You know, Dion made it to fucking World Series and shit. But when Jordan, was coming up and obviously killing it, you couldn't get away from it. They were everywhere, just everywhere. They were everywhere.
Right.
But then he wasn't in NBA Jam. That was, it's like, hey, well, fuck, where's Jordan?
Right.
And that was sort of my entry point, being a video game kid from the jump. And then him, leaving the NBA and like, okay, yeah, he's not in NBA Jam. Who cares? Because he's not in the NBA anymore. And going to baseball and then thinking like, oh, I wonder if Michael Jordan will be in the baseball games now, because I started playing baseball games, and it just made me think that like weird connection of like, oh man, wouldn't that be crazy?
Right.
If he made it into an MLB game?
That would be.
So I knew what team he was on. Right.
That'd be crazy.
Well, yeah. And so I shouldn't say I knew what team he was on, but I knew that he had the ability to get onto the Sox, because also my favorite baseball player as a younger kid, or, whenever you're in that age, middle school, Frank Thomas.
Oh, the Big Hurt.
Big Hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now he sells.
Yeah. So
Nugenics.
I definitely knew when Jordan was on the Sox, or in the Sox, whatever upcoming program. I can't even think of the fucking name that they call those farm teams and stuff now.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I never really knew baseball very well. I know what you're referring to. I don't know if
it's all the minor league affiliates that they just bring people who are really good in to get better against each other, and someone's going to stand out and make it to the bigs. Like that's what it boils down to.
Yep. Yeah, baseball's weird, dude. I get so confused with their draft stuff too.
Oh, I don't even follow that. Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't follow the draft either. I just see like weird stuff where they'll be like talking about like Russell Wilson, from the Seattle Seahawks quarterback.
Yeah.
And they'll just be like, yeah, Russell Wilson, he was this athlete and he started in this football and stuff, and he was drafted to the whatever baseball team in this year. And you're like, what? They're like, yeah, they drafted him, but he like never played, but they picked him. They're like, he's ours.
Right.
And like, I don't even know if he ever even like declared for the draft. They're just like, he's got an arm. He's our guy.
Just pick him.
Yeah. So I don't know how they're baseball.
No, they put him. You get put in somehow. I really have no idea how, but yeah, there's like teams that just pick people up and then they never play. Like I think that is a fairly common thing with baseball. Again, I don't follow the draft enough to know, I didn't even when I was really into baseball as a kid. So it happens. Yeah. All of a sudden you'll say gets drafted by the Twins, never sees a day in the MLB.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how that shit works.
Just spends it in Florida and St. Paul and never ever makes it.
I've never cared to like look into it either. I'm just sitting here being like, I don't know how it works. It's probably just a super easy question to figure out. I'm just like, nope. Probably. No clue how that works.
Yeah. Yep. I was a big fan of Kirby and Kent from the Twins.
Oh yeah.
During that World Series run and stuff like that. Yeah, those guys, they were my shit.
I was a fan of them too, like as far as like cuz I collected sports cards. But I didn't know anything about them, you know? It was just one of those things where I was excited to get their cards. I'm like, "Yep, that's our good guys." Hell yeah. You know, that's what I knew about them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember watching the World Series when Kent pulled that guy off of first and got an out. He totally pulled that guy off first, but I don't know if you remember that at all. Yeah. See, yeah, he was a big guy, and now he does outdoor stuff. I catch that guy fishing all the time.
Yeah.
Now,
yep.
I mean, I don't know if I shouldn't say now, but like 10 years ago when I had antenna TV, I'd be like, "There's old Kent fishing."
I think he makes root beer now too, doesn't he?
You're talking about Killebrew.
Killebrew, yeah. Isn't that his jam?
I don't think so. He might have invested in it, but it's maybe the name is not his. I could say that. Yeah, sure. I know. I mean, it's Harmon's.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was his.
Maybe, I guess I don't know.
Maybe I just seen him on like one of those outdoor shows, like promoting it.
Sure. I mean, you know, it's all here. It's all Twins, you know, alumni, so to say. So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Here's the ones we didn't get to because you said I'd be interested to see what yours are. So a lot of baseball players like Randy Johnson, dude, because I was a pitcher, but that dude was a giant. I mean, he's probably actually your height, but I forgot to look up how tall he actually was. But the point being is like Randy was one of my favorites, dude. Just a giant monster on the mound, super intimidating. But the ones I think you're expecting, and this obviously came, you know, in middle school and stuff like that too. But after the baseball stuff are like Tony Hawk and Dave Mirra and Matt Hoffman.
Oh,
like, I watched these guys come up in the X Games. Like I watched the beginning of the X Games and these guys become stars.
Good call. Yes, they totally mine too. Like I skateboarded as well, not well at all, but like those were, you know, that was like the same thing, you know,
right?
Like where I'm watching the guys and I'm like nitpicking on like the ones that I could do. Like all those guys were like, hell yeah, Tony Hawk, you know, all these dudes, Bucky Lassick, like they're just out there ripping it. And you're like, hell yeah. And then you come across Rodney Mullen and you're like, his shit's off the like another world. But I feel like some of that stuff I could do. I'm never going to do a 900. I might be able to do some of those flip tricks. You know, so I'm like trying the flatland shit that he's doing, and like, but some of it's still like no chance. Nobody else can do that kind of stuff.
No, that guy invents that shit. Literally invents that shit.
Right, totally invents it. And I remember too, where they were like, there was some documentary, not like a documentary, like one of his film parts, you know, and. They were talking to him and he's just like, yeah, just like to do calculus for fun or like physics or whatever it was, like to do physics for fun. Here's like, that's how he does this.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, he's the crazy guy, like understanding. He's just like, it's a pressure flip. And you're like, what? You just created a new way to flip the board? Yes. Oh. Okay, cool.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
and the funny thing is about like Tony and Rodney, like you're talking about, like Tony Hawk, Rodney, like they had been doing it for so long. But then when we were in middle school, the Xgames came out, right? And now ESPN starts to cover it, and you start to make that transition from your Bo Jacksons and your Deion Sanders and your Larry Birds, who were dominating this channel, and now here come these other alternative sports guys, and you're like, yeah, I love riding my bike. Check out that Dave Mirra guy, huh?
Right. Yeah. And like, I mean, not to have it sound racist or whatever, but like also there's a sport where it's just like, oh shit, there's a sport that we can do. Like, look, they all look like us. Like we can,
Yeah,
like in this sport, like obviously you have to be talented, but you just have to be crazy. I'm fucking crazy.
right.
So yeah, that was another dude. That's a good call. I wasn't even thinking about those guys, but all that shit, like Matt Hoffman and Dave Mirra and shit, and you're just like trying all the tricks that they're trying out there on their bikes and stuff, and
yeah,
just like, oh, good call. Yes,
and it felt not that basketball isn't accessible, but that upcoming of alternative extreme sports, whatever you want to call them, like that, it felt accessible.
Yes.
At that point of life where you start to realize, like, oh shit, man, I haven't been playing hockey my whole life. There's no way I'm making it like anywhere with this. There's nothing more.
Well, for sure,
You
yeah,
know,
that's a very good point. Where basketball and all those sports is just like I have to go from this level and I have to move up to the next level to be the most elite, and I have to, get
yep,
good grades and make it into schools and stuff on top of that. And like skateboarding is like you just have to have a
yep,
camera and have somebody film you do these tricks and you have to just be able to prove people you can do it. It's like
right,
totally
right.
accessible where you're like, all I got to do is put together a film part and then I can get sponsorship, like it was that attainable goal
Yeah.
where like I just got to put something together that looks cool and somebody will give me shit and it will be awesome.
And somebody will, yeah, or get noticed even.
Yeah.
It's like there was progression. Like progression was possible in that sport. It felt like where if you hadn't been doing the other stuff your whole life or hadn't been doing that your whole life with somebody else to push you to that next level. Like if you didn't have a brother that you grew up playing basketball with since you were 6, there was no progression there. Like where were you going to go next
Right.
if you were already the best in town?
Yep. Yep. Well, and there was
You weren't
levels,
going
yeah,
anywhere.
and there were like the levels of that stuff, like your only real chance is getting signed to a ridiculous contract. Like college doesn't pay anything in sports and stuff, so you're talking like you're becoming a professional and then you're one of the highest paid athletes in the world or
Right.
nothing. There's no middle ground. And for like
Right.
skateboarding and stuff, like almost all of us knew somebody who's like, yeah, sponsored at the like local shop. I get like
Right.
a deck for free every once
Yep.
in a while. And you're like,
Yep.
even that as a kid, you're like, shut the fuck up. You get a free skateboard? Like,
Right.
dude, that's
Right.
so
You're
dope.
like,
Yeah, dude, I
yeah.
want to do that.
Yeah.
And then you
And
go
you
out there
could
and you
and you
realize it's
could
a lot harder
progress.
than you thought it was gonna be.
Right. But I mean that's also the thing is you could you could still progress though. Like there was still that option where you could just go out and do it yourself. Like you could watch
Right.
the skate video
Yep.
and then you could go out and try the new thing and you could push your skills better, but you can't just go out and dribble around the driveway and get better. You need somebody at your skill level or
Well,
better to keep
I mean,
going.
you can when it's coming to handles and stuff. Like I was always out there
Okay. Yeah.
practicing.
Yeah.
Basketball is one of those rare sports where you can be out there like shooting on your own and stuff and
Okay.
dribbling, handling the ball and whatnot. But
And do you see the progression? Do you feel the progression? Because like with the alternative sports, you just do it and you land it and then you do it
yeah,
again and you land it and then eventually you just get good at landing the same thing you weren't doing yesterday.
right. Oh, for sure. Because I would imagine that there was somebody in front of me, and then I would do like the crossover and
Sure.
like the spin move, and like you would lose the
Nice.
ball sometimes. So my goal was to do like the moves
Uh-huh.
linked together and then to be able to drive to the hoop and like score the layup. And when you put it all together and made the shot, like it just like that was it. Like in game, I could do this now, like for sure. You know, a defender makes it a little bit different, but
yeah,
I also lowered the hoop and
I
dunked a
put too
lot.
much pressure on the.
That's I was most of my like childhood in the driveway. I'm putting like jumping over my 10 speed and shit. Put my 10 speed, lower the thing down.
Yeah.
I'm like jumping over it and dunking.
Right. Right. And like was there had to have been something going on, right? Like all of a sudden the NBA got big enough where it started to put the dunk contest on regular TV, and then you'd see like Charles Barkley doing underneath the leg over. Like, why were we doing that all the time?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
There had to be an icon that we were looking at besides Jordan jumping from the free throw line, because we were doing like trick shit.
Oh, the dunk contest. Yeah, they were all doing that stuff. They all started getting a little bit like more theatrical as the time went on, adding in like different jerseys and having somebody come out and hold the ball for you, jumping over people and shit.
Oh yeah.
So
That's right.
there was definitely a lot of that going on when we were younger. And back in the day, all the big name athletes would do it, or all the big name players. Now it's like uncool for the top name guys to do it or something. I don't know. None of them do it.
Really?
Yeah, it's lame. Like none of the top guys do it. Zach LaVine is like now he's an all-star. But when he came out, like the first 2 years in the league, like nobody really knew who he was, but he could jump through the roof. And he put on, he was 2-time back-to-back champ. And his dunk contest with him and Gordon. I can't remember his first name. I don't know if it's Eric Gordon from the Magic, the Orlando Magic. Those two guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody wants to see amazing dunks, watch that. Zach LaVine versus Gordon. I can't remember if it was Eric. I forget his first name.
But if you look up LaVine versus Gordon jams, you're going to find it.
Best dunks I've ever seen. I don't think there will ever be a better dunk contest.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
That's heavy words to hear that. Oh my God.
Both of them. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's crazy. I'm going to look that up.
I think Gordon should have won it. I do. But
yeah.
What do they say in the UFC all the time? To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. And they were pretty close. So like, I don't know. His last dunk was a little bit weak. Gordon's was. But the ones before that, he had I think it's the Philly Fanatic. No.
Yep.
What is it?
I think
it was the Magic though. Whatever the Magic has. Some weird
I don't know what that thing's
puts
called.
a ball on his hand and then spins around on a hoverboard in a 360, and then Gordon comes over and spins the opposite way and grabs the ball out of his hand with one hand and watch him. What? He jumps over one of the guys with the ball and like dude's standing up tall and he jumps completely over him, like not the cheap where they jump over and they like spread their legs and the crotch goes over. He like jumps sideways and like lifts his legs up and like it's just
That's crazy, dude.
Watch that dunk contest.
Watch it. Just watch it. Not a kid inspiration, not like your old childhood inspiration dunk contest. This is some crazy shit.
Yes. Some gnarly dunks.
Nice.
Jordan's cool. Running, jumping from the free throw looks like dog shit compared to these dunks.
One of the most iconic images in sports history. Looks stupid compared to these two kids.
Stupid as shit. I think LaVine even recreates that dunk in one of the. I think he did it in that.
He did
contest.
The Jordan free throw.
I think he did in that contest. So you can even see it done again by LaVine, and he does more dunks.
Well, that's exactly it. Is like all these kids playing now, obviously inspired by Jordan, obviously had Jordan on their wall or whatever you want to say. So like if you get the opportunity to go out there and do that, you're going to do it. Like for me, Babe Ruth, huge because of baseball, huge. Babe Ruth did book reports on him and shit like that.
Yep.
Babe Ruth is great. Why? Because he didn't give a fuck what he did off the field.
Right.
Was still a super athlete.
Right.
Drinking, smoking, doing whatever, eating fucking cheeseburgers and hot dogs at the same time. Wake up, beat the Yankees, right?
Yeah. Dude, those guys,
whatever.
Some of those old school baseball players that just whatever they wanted to do is insane.
I swear there's pictures of Babe Ruth like at the plate with a stogie in his mouth.
Yeah. I just saw something before the Super Bowl that like at the first Super Bowl ever, I think it was at like halftime or whatever, one of the quarterback for one of the teams was smoking a cigar on the sideline at the Super Bowl.
Just during the
halftime
interview. Yep.
No, not during the halftime. He's just on the sideline, just sitting back we take a break now.
Because because the defense went out first.
right.
Game's already started. He's just sitting on the bench puffing a stug.
There's an interception. He's like, oh, God damn it.
Shit, is this getting good?
Somebody put this out for me. I'll be back. Hold on.
Fuck, dude, that's so funny. Shit. All right, let's wrap it up, Tim. It's getting late. This internet connection is pissing me off.
I know.
It's not our fault. I'm sorry.
Sorry, everybody.
Hopefully, it turns out just fine. But go over to realaf.tv. That is our website. It just directs you everywhere because we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. Please subscribe, share, do that thing.
Please.
But seriously, we do like engaging with you guys. So our DMs are open on the social medias and we are easy to get a hold of if you go to realaf.tv/contact. Real like fish and reel. Don't forget that part.
Yes.
Email us.
We get them. And if you do leave a review, that'd be much appreciated because the reviews help spread it out to other people. Let them know that we're out there,
Yeah.
And if we could grow and get a couple more people asking us other questions, that'd be fun. I would enjoy it.
It would be great fun. I agree, Tim. That would be great fun.
And I would tell them to go watch the dunk contest too.
Yeah, even though you're expecting a lot of fishing stuff from us, dude.
Right.
That contest is dope, though.
Yeah, I know you guys are here for. That's how I start every podcast from now on. You're like, I'm Josh and I'm Tim, and I know you're here for fishing, but go watch the dunk contest.
From now on, every episode after 39.